Evening, everybody. It's 6:11 on Monday, the 6th of February, and this is your closing comment, and it is video number 1650. Okay, so we finished well off the lows, but still down on the day. The Dow had the biggest recovery of all, I would say. It was down 243 at 10:45, and it actually went positive for a nanosecond before turning back down and closing down just 35 or a tenth of a percent. Advanced declines were 3-1 to the downside there. Over on the NASDAQ, they were 2-1 to the downside, and that one closed down 8%, 120. It was also substantially lower. The S&P down 26. I saw that down about 43. The Russell closed pretty close actually to the low, down 28 for a 1.4% loss, and that was the biggest loss. And a 1% loss for the Dow Jones Transports at down about 143. A lot of the problem is based on the chart on the screen, and that is the dollar, which got down to about 100.5 on Friday and moved all the way back up. That was last week, all the way back up to close the week at 102.75. So under 101 to over 102.5. And then today it continued up, excuse me, closing up about 75 cents at 103.5. And that puts a bit of a strain on the markets. We had some interesting earnings today, but one of the things I want to get to is AI. And frankly, it's beginning to look like AI is the .com, the 2020s. And I mention that because of the trading patterns that anything that comes out as new and exciting tends to get a lot of sponsorship and a lot of interest, only to, kind of wither away as the reality comes to it. And I'll cite you a couple of examples. Obviously, the late 1990s, with anybody putting .com on the end of their name, a lot of those, pets.com and Books a Million. Books a Million was a paperback store that would buy your paperbacks for 25 cents on the dollar and sell you other used paperbacks for 50 cents on the dollar. Where they ended up putting .com on was beyond comprehension. But the fact of the matter is, all of these stocks ran, and I would say about 75% of them are gone. Excuse me. Then in 2014, 2015, we had the 3D printing phase, and that was terrific. And you saw people on CNBC making hors d'oeuvres, appetizers with 3D printing and edible. And of course, a lot of those came and went. One of the best was DDD, which was 3D. It traded at 97 in 2014, 2015. It traded at 6 in 2016 and spent 5 years going sideways, rallied up to 51 in 2021 and is currently $11. So that one lost 90%. Then we move over to the cannabis craze, where one of the leading companies still today, Tilray, was $300 in 2018. It was $2.43 in 2020, It rallied up in 2021 on some good news, up to 67, and it currently is $3.14. So 300 to 3. That's a 99% decline. And so the last one I'm going to tell you about are some of the cybersecurity stocks. And you would think that in this market, in this atmosphere, um, worldwide, all of the spam and the phishing and all of the other assorted crap, that you would expect these companies to be at all-time highs. CrowdStrike, a name that most people know, had a high of 300 not that long ago. It's currently 100. NET, a high of 220, now 56. Those are not bad considering. But the reason that I bring it up is because now there are an unlimited number of companies that are talking about how they are AI related. And, you know, they're getting really a lot of play. And the number one that I think is worthwhile and is, an honest deal is C3 AI. Um, Came out in 2020 and had a low of 90 and a high of 183. Um, Moved all the way back down to 112 and then back up to 176. In the last 2.5 weeks, since we saw the announcement by Google that they were making an investment in an AI company that was private, and we have all of the information out there on Chat GPT, I think it is, the company that will, you give it a topic and it produces a document for you. Um, that stock moved from that 175, 180 3 weeks ago. It was $12. Today, it closed at 27.30, and that was up $1.42. I'm not saying it's not a great company. I'm not saying that any others that start to put out news are not great companies. But there is this pattern of these things getting totally overblown and never recovering. I mean, cannabis is available for recreational use all across the country. You would think that a stock that was 300 in this kind of atmosphere with new states every election allowing it wouldn't be $3, down 99%. So fair warning. Okay, so earnings. Pinterest was easy, but interesting because um, it missed and gave poor guidance, and it had closed at 27.92, up 41 cents, and it immediately moved straight down to 23.29 and bounced back, and actually is 27. So it was down over 13%, and the CEO has been making the rounds, and I guess it's being pretty well received. The stock is now 27, down only 48 cents or 2%. So very impressive. Activision, also a minor miss and poor guidance, but this one specifically trades on the fact that Microsoft has a $95 deal out there, although with the stock selling at 72.15, down $3.13, it's really selling well underneath. And there is talk that I guess the biggest group is in the UK, suing them to not have the combination with Microsoft. And Rambus, which closed the day at 43.12, down a half a dollar, immediately on their news traded up to 45 and then down to 40.56. The last is 41, that's down 262 or 6%. So there you have it. You have your warning about not to get too overwhelmed. And as long as we're on the topic of warnings, let's talk about Bed Bath and Beyond, a company that absolutely is going to go bankrupt. Um, you know, they put out information that they are going to raise $1 billion with an equity offering. So the stock was trading around 3.5, traded as low today as 311, which is where it opened. It traded as high as $7.03. And then they made the announcement, and the stock immediately started back down. So it's currently 388, up 83 cents, 27%. But I will guarantee you that regardless of where, if they can get the SEC to approve an offering for a company that, you know, the really what you should be looking at is the debt. And when the debt is 10 or 12 cents on the dollar, you can pretty well read the writing in the sand. Okay, the oil was up 70 cents. The gold was up 290 after the horrendous day or horrendous end of the week that it had. Bitcoin down 375. The dollar, as I said, up about 75 cents, and that was basically on the weakness in the bonds raising interest rates. The silver was down 17 cents, and nat gas was, wow, up 4 cents at 245. All right, everyone. I'll be back first thing in the morning, and I'll try and get all of this new information to you without it being a black box on the TV or no sound. Have a good one, folks.